After school, I was cornered on the staircase landing. Yin, the principal's daughter, looked me over with an air of amusement, her chin slightly raised. Top student. I hear you got the first place again in this monthly exam. Yin was the only daughter of the Yin family in the capital, born with a silver spoon. As the largest sponsor of newest aristocratic academy, the Yin Corporation was thriving in the business world, and 2 generations back, they even had a red background in politics. In my previous life, Yin wanted me to cheat for her on the monthly exam, and I refused. Afterward, her total score was only 2 digits, and she was severely scolded by her mother. Yin blamed everything on me. So, Yin came up with a prank. She made a bet with her best friend, the school beauty Bai Miao, on who could take down me, the poor student, first. Bai Miao managed to get the school's surveillance authority and live-streamed the entire seduction on the campus forum. To add more fun, Yin even started a school-wide betting pool, wagering on the exact time I would give my first kiss to one of them. In the end, all the tips from the live stream would go to the person who guessed the most accurately. Yin, the pampered daughter of the principal, the pure and stunning school beauty Bai Miao, and the massive prize pool of tips. This live stream ignited Newest Academy. I was, after all, a naive high school boy, and I had no way to resist the grand and public romantic pursuit of 2 rich young ladies. After I accepted Bai Miao's confession, Yin, who lost the bet, was furious. She cruelly revealed the truth to me. Didn't expect it, did you? This was a seduction challenge, and it was live-streamed the whole time. A top student, huh? I think you're just a narcissist. Did you really think we would like a country bumpkin like you? From then on, I became the biggest joke in the whole school. In their eyes, my early cold rejection was unromantic, my subsequent softening was pretension, and my final blossoming of affection was self-abasement and wishful thinking. Everyone was laughing at my foolish spectacle. My grades plummeted, and I dropped out of the top in the year on the final exam. I lost my scholarship, and my family fell into debt. My parents were killed in a car accident while traveling to work to raise my tuition. Struck by multiple blows, I was mentally distraught, stumbled, and silently drowned in the school pool during the winter of my 2nd year of high school. Afterward, the school attributed my death to academic pressure, apologized briefly, and lightly glossed over the incident. Yin was traumatized and sent abroad. She lived a life of dissipation, constantly surrounded by boyfriends. It was said, however, that every one of her boyfriends bore some resemblance to me. Bai Miao inherited her family's company after coming of age and became a renowned charitable female entrepreneur due to her frequent donations to impoverished areas. She eventually married a successful self-made man from a rural background. At the wedding, she gazed tenderly at the groom, saying he made her feel the same first love sensation she had with her childhood sweetheart. Hey, Jiang Sui, are you even listening to me? Yin waved her hand in front of my eyes. Her bright apricot eyes seemed to penetrate people's hearts. Staring at them made one easily think of a female leopard. I knew the seduction livestream had already begun. The comments on the campus forum were flying backslash. What kind of dog luck does this top student have, being pursued by both the principal's daughter and the school beauty? Backslash, I bet a week's allowance the school beauty will win this hunt. Who can resist a cold goddess? Backslash, then I bet on the Yin family's spoiled little princess. Bro just likes that tsundere type, Yin took a deep breath, patiently repeating. I said, I'm here to offer you a chance to make money. I hear your family is from the countryside, so you must need money badly, right? Come to my house and tutor me. 1,000 per class, how about it? I subtly glanced at the camera on the staircase landing, then lowered my head and said, Yin, thank you for the offer, but I already have plans for the weekend. On the weekend, I walked out of the school gate. As I passed a mirror, I paused and looked up at my reflection. Lean and reserved, with pale skin, my entire face appeared somewhat plain because I showed little emotion. My biggest facial asset was my eyes behind the black-rimmed glasses. I could, of course, take off my glasses right now and reverse some of the opinions about me. But is a proactive change as memorable as having them discover it themselves? I knew that even if I didn't fall for it this time, Yin and the others would come up with a new prank to tease me. With my current ability, it was impossible to fight against 2 almighty, privileged people. But at least in this life, I had figured out their game. It was just acting, right? Let's act, who can't? I lowered my eyes and walked toward the flower shop where I worked. Most students at Newest Academy were rich or noble. For the sake of a good reputation, the school admitted a few top-scoring students each year. The top students, besides having excellent grades, had another trait. They were poor. They wouldn't attend this mismatched aristocratic school just for the scholarship if they weren't. As long as I stayed in the top 10 of my grade, my tuition was waived, and I received a Fifethizandian scholarship every month. Since enrolling, I had never placed anywhere but first. So I was used to sending my scholarship money home and earning my living expenses through part-time work. At the flower shop, even before entering, I heard Aunt Chen's excited voice. Jiang Sui, we got a big order today. Her phone screen showed a delivery order, Freud roses. The client also specifically noted that the top-grade flowers had to be sourced from Ecuador. Aunt Chen's face was flushed. This order will earn us at least 5 figures. In the previous life, to force me to agree to tutor her, Yin had easily sabotaged my part-time job at the flower shop. She spent a fortune ordering a large quantity of Freud roses. After Aunt Chun and I scrambled all night across the city to gather the flowers, we only received Yan's airy remark. Boring. I don't want them anymore. The Yin family's influence was vast. Aunt Chin had no recourse for a complaint and had to bear the huge financial loss from the remaining balance. She had only opened the shop to escape her abusive husband. After that incident, she closed the flower shop and reluctantly returned to her hometown with her husband. Seeing my low spirits, Aunt Chun was a little puzzled. Jiang Sui, what's wrong? I shook my head. Aunt Chun, there's something not right about this order. Don't prepare the flowers yet. Although Aunt Chun hesitated, at my insistence, she temporarily abandoned the idea of bulk purchasing and agreed to delay for a while. For the next week, I stopped going to the library to study and hid in my dorm right after class, making it impossible for Yin to even see me. With the seduction challenge starting off so poorly, the Yin family's young miss became visibly irritated. As I expected, it didn't take a week for her to get impatient. On Saturday, Aunt Chun was taking her lunch break in the storage room, leaving me alone to mind the store. I had just finished a test paper when I looked up and saw a familiar petite figure flash past the flower shop door. I immediately realized the time had come. Just then, Aunt Chin's phone on the counter vibrated. I answered the call without hesitation. Less than 10 minutes later, a bald man with a beer belly aggressively burst into the flower shop. Bang! He kicked the door open and gruffly asked, "Where's that bitch Chin-Yen?" Aunt Chun was startled awake and walked out of the storage room, her eyes still sleepy. As soon as she saw the man, she instantly looked terrified. "You? How are you here?" The bald man snorted, stepped forward, and reached out to grab Aunt Chen's hair. I quickly blocked Aunt Chun, loudly challenging. "Who are you? What are you trying to do?" The bald man sneered. "Who am I? I'm her man. It's perfectly justified for me to hit my own woman. If you don't get out of the way, I'll hit you too." My voice trembled as I shouted. "Domestic violence is against the law. If you don't leave, I'm calling the police." The bald man grinned and swatted a hand, pushing me to the ground. I fell messily by the flower shop entrance, and my glasses flew off. My knee hit the doorstep, and I curled up in pain. I lowered my eyelashes, but a faint smile played on the corner of my mouth. I couldn't be mistaken. The figure outside the flower shop just now was none other than Yin. I knew. Yan's livestream camera was pinned to her collar. That device was high-end. Both the picture and sound quality were top-tier. The commotion just now was so loud that both Yin and the students in the livestream must have seen Aunt Chun and me being bullied. I knew Yin too well. As the pampered princess of the Yin family, she had always been reckless and lawless. She was active and energetic from a young age, and her strength was greater than that of ordinary girls. With the Yin family's unconditional spoiling, she had even become the female bully of Newest Academy. Whether it was for the seduction challenge or out of her own impulsive, hot-tempered nature, she was bound to step forward. This cliched scene of righteous intervention had reached its peak. Now, it was time for the heroine to make her entrance. Sure enough, the next second, I saw someone cross the threshold and walk into the flower shop. Before anyone could react, Yin was already grappling with the bald man. The comments on the forum had gone completely wild /. OMG, She just charged in. Backslash. Is there anyone who still doesn't know the Een family's little princess is a ninth dan black belt? So awesome, sniff. Backslash. Wow, the real-time livestream tip pool has already soared to million and is still climbing. The final winner is going to be lucky. Although Een Yin had learned karate, the bald man was tall, fat, and bulky, nearly twice her size. Initially, Een Yin gained the upper hand using her fighting techniques. But then, the bald man used his absolute weight advantage, seized an opening, and pinned Een Yin beneath him. In the wrecked flower shop, the bald man, eyes bloodshot, was pressing down on Een Yin, choking her neck tightly. He spat at Een Yin and cursed. You stinky wench. I'll teach you to cause trouble. Een Yin's small face was turning red from the choking, but she was still struggling fiercely. Just 1 second before she would have completely suffocated, I picked up a glass vase and smashed it hard onto the bald man's back of the head. Bang! The bald man's body stiffened, then collapsed with a crash. Een Yin gasped a few times, then mustered her strength and kicked the massive, bulky body away. She sat up, her face fuming with anger, but then her eyes widened at the sight before her. My backlit silhouette was reflected in Een Yin's amber eyes. A clear, handsome boy, holding a vase, covered in bruises yet still desperately holding himself up. You? Just as she started to speak, the vase slipped from my hand, rolled onto the floor, and made a sharp, crisp sound. I could no longer support my injured legs and collapsed from exhaustion. Een Yin subconsciously leaned in and caught me. As we embraced, I could hear her heart pounding furiously against her chest. The suspension bridge effect refers to when a person, experiencing an accelerated heartbeat due to a stimulating situation, might mistakenly attribute this physiological reaction to romantic attraction. The scene just now was an elaborate sequence I designed for Een Yin. The impulsive, proud girl wanted to save someone in distress, but was fortuitously saved herself at the last moment. Every expression, every action, I had rehearsed 10,000 times in my mind. Hearing her rapid heartbeat, I was trembling with excitement. Een Yin held my shoulder, flustered and momentarily clumsy, and said softly, "That was... Thank you." The bald man, Aunt Chin's husband, was arrested by the police for intentional assault. Although the sentencing for domestic violence is usually light, the injured party this time was Een Yin. Given the Een family's little princess's vengeful nature, the bald man probably wouldn't be getting out anytime soon. Aunt Chin was profusely grateful to Een Yin, praising her as a modern model youth. As the principal's daughter, Een Yin had only ever caused trouble since childhood. When had she ever been praised for an act of righteousness? She rubbed the scrape on her nose, but 2 suspicious patches of red appeared on her cheeks. It's nothing. I just came to see Jiang Sui and didn't expect to run into this. Don't thank me. It was just a spontaneous thing. To thank Een Yin, I voluntarily offered to tutor her on the weekends. She was clearly delighted but still put on a haughty air, chin raised. Next Saturday at p.m., come to my private villa. Also, that broken glasses of yours. Don't wear them anymore, they're ugly. The weekend, in the study of Een Yin's private villa, I was tutoring her in mathematics. In the previous life, as soon as I agreed to tutor Een Yin, I found out the truth about the flower shop closing. I had a huge argument with her, and the tutoring session ended unhappily. This time, I planned to take the tutoring seriously. A few math problems later, the Een family's young Mrs. eyes were vacant. Seeing her biting her pen and staring blankly at the first fill-in-the-blank question, I sighed silently. The comments were all enjoying her misery backslash. The principal's daughter must be regretting tutoring now. Self-inflicted, ha ha ha. Backslash, can't watch. She tried to flirt with the top student several times, but he was completely unmoved, focusing only on the lesson. Backslash, am I the only one who thinks Jiang Sui explains things really well? He makes it simple and clear. Even I, a math dummy, understood it. Meanwhile, I noticed the old butler peeking through the crack of the door, holding his phone and filming. Although the old butler tried his best to keep his voice down, he couldn't hide his excitement. Sir and madam, heaven has opened its eyes. The young lady is actually studying math. Seeing that Een Yin was already zoning out and on the verge of falling into her third sweet, baby-like sleep, I reluctantly said, "Let's stop here for today." Een Yin subconsciously gave a triple affirmation. Oh, So that's how it is. I understand. Wait. Class is over already. I nodded. Your foundation is too weak. It's better to take it step by step. Yin nodded in relief, her face full of the joy of surviving a disaster. Before leaving, I took a Freud rose from my backpack. Staring at the rose offered to her, Yin was stunned. You're giving me flowers? I nodded without hesitation. Yeah. A customer canceled an order at the flower shop and had to pay a large breach of contract penalty. I used the bonus Aunt Chin gave me and bought you a flower. Thank you for helping us last time. Seeing Yan's complicated expression, I raised an eyebrow and said, forget it if you don't want it. Yan immediately snatched the flower from my hand. Blushing, she said, who said I don't want it? It was sunset when I walked out of the villa. In the setting sun, a figure was riding a horse and galloping on the racetrack outside the villa. Seeing me emerge, Bai Miao pulled the reins and rode the horse over to me. Her appearance was outstanding, and her neat white riding attire made her look even more pure and refined. The Bai family was not as prominent as the Yin family, only considered a new tech-wealthy family. However, Bai Miao was gentle and polite, with impeccable conduct, and she was highly regarded by all teachers and students. In the previous life, I was deceived by her pretense and accepted her confession. When Yin told me it was just a seduction challenge, I didn't want to believe it, until Bai Miao admitted it herself. Facing my questioning, Bai Miao still smiled gently, but her words were incredibly hurtful. Jiang Sui, I just realized you look a lot like my childhood sweetheart. But he was pure and obedient, not a cheap person like you. So what if you're first in the grade every time? You're just an easy-to-jet, inferior piece of goods. If Yin was innocently cruel, then Bai Miao was pure malice. Now, in the sunset, Bai Miao on her horse looked down at me. Thank you for tutoring Yin. You'll have to put up with her a lot in the future. I looked up, meeting her beautiful phoenix eyes without flinching. Are you trying to say Yin has a bad temper, that she's difficult to get along with, and that's why I have to put up with her? Bai Miao was startled, but quickly recovered with a laugh. I didn't mean that. Just then, the chestnut-colored horse suddenly snorted and nuzzled my palm affectionately. Bai Miao looked surprised. Andrew is a Hanoverian warmblood. He has a bad temper. I've never seen him get so close to a stranger before. He seems to really like you. I scoffed inwardly. Hanoverian horses are known for being calm and docile. How could they have a bad temper? I certainly understood the meaning of this lie. A direct approach, like Yan's heat charge, easily raises people's guard. Bai Miao was a clever hunter. In the previous life, she chose to use unintentional coincidences to lower my guard first. Then through repeated exposure and contact, she gradually deepened my affection for her, eventually leading me to offer my first kiss willingly. Seeing no reaction from me, Bai Miao leaned slightly and extended her hand, covered by a white leather glove, toward me. Jiang Sui, would you like to ride a horse with me? The beautiful sunset, the elegant girl, the perfectly curated atmosphere. Bai Miao was certain I wouldn't refuse. But she had miscalculated. In the previous life, Bai Miao used the suspension bridge effect during our ride to make me feel a romantic flutter for her, thus beginning the seduction. Now, I merely glanced at the hand she extended toward me and suddenly asked, what is that? Having her rhythm disrupted multiple times, a flash of impatience crossed Bai Miao's eyes. She withdrew her hand, followed my gaze, unpinned a black iris brooch decoration, and held it out to me. I stared at the black brooch. I knew that Bai Miao's livestream camera was hidden inside it. Not only were her methods numerous and her rank high, but her mental fortitude was also excellent. She dared to hand it directly to me. The comments were trembling backslash. Why do I feel like he's looking at me through the camera? Scared.jpg backslash, no way. Bai Corp's camera equipment is the most advanced, and the livestream forum has blocked him. Backslash, so exciting. Let me tip a carnival. Seeing me staring at the iris brooch, Bai Miao said nonchalantly, do you like it? If you do, I can give it to you. I shifted my gaze and suddenly smiled abruptly. No, thank you. I don't like the language of the black iris. Bai Miao insisted on driving me back to school. In fact, the villa wasn't far from the school, only a minute drive. The problem was that there was no direct bus from here to the school. Looking at the girl in the Lamborghini Revuelto sports car, I said with some difficulty, you're not of age yet. Bai Miao smiled and waggled a driver's license. Don't worry, I got it abroad. So, Jiang Sui, top student, do I have the honor of giving you a ride? On the way back, I was silently memorizing vocabulary. The live stream comments were also lively backslash. OMG, the cold school beauty is too beautiful. The poor student is also quite rude, huh? Backslash. Maybe he's just pretending to be aloof and playing hard to get? That's how it goes in idol dramas. Backslash, no? Am I the only one who noticed the amazing sound of this supercar? The top-tier sports car sped like the wind. Soon, the car stopped at the school gate. I tried to open the door to get out, but found the car door was locked. I frowned and looked at Bai Miao in the driver's seat and heard her ask playfully, Jiang Sui, how are you going to pay for the ride? I took 2 crumpled 100 yuan bills from my bag and handed them to her, looking pained. Keep the change. Bai Miao's eyes curved into a smile. Very sincere, but unfortunately, I'm not short on money. We had a silent standoff for a few seconds. Suddenly, I tilted my head slightly and spoke with a hint of bewilderment. Have we met somewhere before? Bai Miao, I just realized you look a lot like my childhood friend. The comments section was full of hisses backslash. What an old-fashioned pickup line. Backslash, he can't possibly think this will make the school beauty notice him, right? Diagnosis, obsessed with idol dramas. Backslash, has anyone noticed the school beauty hasn't spoken for a while? Bai Miao looked at me with a slight hesitation. I added with a smile, but she was pure and obedient. She wouldn't be impolite enough to lock a classmate in a car like you are. After getting out of the car, I stood by the car and, with a smile, slipped the 200 yuan through the rolled-down window. Watching the angry steel beast roar away, the smile on my face gradually faded. In the previous life, Bai Miao said at her wedding that the groom, whose smile resembled mine, reminded her of her childhood sweetheart, her first love. There was a vast difference in my and Bai Miao's family backgrounds. It was impossible for us to have grown up together as childhood friends. So there was only one possibility. Bai Miao had a childhood sweetheart when she was young, and I just happened to look a lot like him. Since I knew about this in advance, there was no reason for me not to take advantage of it. Therefore, I usurped the identity of her childhood sweetheart. Bai Miao was meticulous and suspicious. For people like her, all you need to do is throw out an ambiguous question, and they will naturally spend their energy seeking the answer. And in that process, she will inevitably get familiar with me and understand me. Repeated exposure can increase people's affection for someone, which is called the mere exposure effect in psychology. Falling in love over time is based on this principle. In a way, I should thank Bai Miao from the previous life for teaching me so many tricks. The next few months were uneventful. My daily routine was a 3-point line between the classroom, the library, and the cafeteria. On the weekends, I first worked part-time at the flower shop and then went to tutor Yin Yan. Every time I went to see Yin Yan, I would bring a Freud rose. Yin Yan gradually went from awkward to used to it. I didn't simply go through the motions in my tutoring because of what happened in the previous life. Instead, I patiently and carefully organized the knowledge for her. In the previous life, my refusal to tutor Yin Yan was criticized. Country people are stubborn and not sincere at all. Some even slandered that my previous excellent grades were achieved through cheating after my performance declined due to depression. This time, I wouldn't leave any handle for them to use. The weather gradually turned colder. Winter, with its short days and long nights, arrived in a blink. The first semester of the second year of high school was nearing its end, and the final exams were right around the corner. Saturday, the private villa. Yin Yan was seated properly at the desk, a rare look of anxiety on her small face. Well, I put down the red pen used to grade the paper. You scored on this math paper. That's an improvement. I passed. The old butler, who had been waiting nearby, cheered and pulled the string of a small celebratory cannon he had acquired from somewhere. Bang! Amidst the falling confetti and streamers, Yin Yan pulled me up from the chair and began to spin continuously with my hand, like in a waltz. I was startled and regretted not reminding her that the full score was. Seeing the situation, the old butler quietly retreated, even thoughtfully closing the door. I was dizzy from the spinning and lightly tapped Yin Yan's head. Stop it. Spin one more time, and there will be no flower today. Hearing that, Yin Yan stuck out her tongue, stopped spinning, and started to behave. I'm sorry, I shouldn't tease you. I won't dare next time. Where's my flower? Reward me quickly. I raised an eyebrow at her and handed her the rose. Yin took the flower and smiled mischievously. I lied. I'll dare next time. With the final exams approaching, I became increasingly busy. The library. I was reviewing the curriculum for the next semester when someone suddenly poked my shoulder. I looked up and saw a round-faced boy with a buzz cut. Blushing, he held a pink envelope out to me. He said, "Jiang Sui, can you please give this letter to Bai Miao?" I frowned and didn't take it. This boy was called Li Yuan, and like me, he was a top student admitted based on his scores. In the previous life, he was one of the few students who didn't participate in the seduction live stream the entire time. After my death, he learned the truth and even wrote a letter of complaint for me. Unfortunately, the letter was intercepted by the Bai family as soon as it was mailed, and it caused no stir whatsoever. Seeing my silence, Li Yuan quickly explained, "Bai Miao always drives you back whenever you go to tutor on the weekend. So I thought I'd ask you for the favor." I flatly refused. "Sorry, I can't help you." Li Yuan was stunned, his expression confused. "Why not? Do you like Goddess Bai Miao too?" At this, the surroundings instantly became silent. Some bolder students started stealing glances in my direction. I glanced at the several cameras on the ceiling not far away, then shook my head at Li Yuan. In short, I can't. Li Yuan was straightforward and kind. He definitely wouldn't be a match for the cunning Bai Miao. I didn't want him to repeat my fate from the previous life, but I couldn't tell him the truth because of the ever-present live stream cameras, so I could only hope he would retreat when faced with difficulty. Li Yuan stamped his foot and forcibly shoved the pink envelope into my hand. "If you don't like Bai Miao, please help me out." "Jiang Sui, thank you." Watching his retreating figure, I clenched the love letter in my hand with a blank expression. After the love letter incident, Yan's attitude toward me suddenly turned cold. Normally, she would send me hundreds of messages a day, math problems, emojis, and even some meaningless rambling. But now, Yan had been silent for a week straight. My academic pressure was heavy, and I was happy for the peace, so I naturally didn't think to actively seek her out. If I could see the live stream comments, I would find the audience already lighting a candle for me /. I feel like this CP is going to be bad ending. Too bad, I just tipped rockets. The principal's daughter really minds that love letter. / Don't defend him. He's sending flowers to the principal's daughter while eating his heart out and throwing away a love letter intended for the school beauty. Isn't that too timing? / Such a shame. I was starting to ship them a little. Saturday afternoon. I arrived at Yan's villa just on time. After ringing the doorbell, there was no answer for a long time. I took out my phone to message Yan, only to see the red exclamation mark indicating I had been blocked. I frowned and rang the doorbell again. 10 minutes passed, and still no one came to open the door. Although I wasn't the most tactful person, I understood. This meant I was not welcome. I turned to leave, but suddenly a click sound came from behind me. "Come in." A cold female voice. I walked into the villa. Yan was sitting languidly on the living room sofa, absent-mindedly playing with a game controller. I was left standing awkwardly where I was. After one game ended, Yan finally graciously looked up at me. "So you remember to come see me?" I thought the great student had forgotten about tutoring me since we haven't spoken in so long. She casually tossed the controller aside, stood up, grabbed my wrist, and roughly pulled me toward the study on the second floor. We jostled our way into the study, and Yan slammed the door shut with a bang. I stumbled a few steps, and before I could speak, Yan forcefully pushed me toward the desk. In the messy room, I was in a clumsy position, my lower back resting against the edge of the desk. My temper immediately flared up, but Yan showed no sign of stopping. She braced her arms on the desk on either side of me and leaned in close. I was forced to lean back and was incredibly annoyed. "Yan, what the hell are you?" But the next second, Yan raised her hand, pinched my chin, and unreasonably kissed me. I was startled and subconsciously slapped her away. Slap. The crisp sound of the slap fell, and the study returned to silence. Yan slowly turned her face, her eyes faintly flashing with disbelief and tears. She questioned me word by word. "Jiang Sui, tell me, why did you throw away that love letter meant for Miao Miao?" I took a deep breath. "Yan, we have a simple employment relationship. I tutor you, and you pay for my time and knowledge. Besides math problems, I have no obligation to explain anything to you. Yin looked at me for a long time, then suddenly scoffed. Employment relationship? You bring me a Freud rose every time you come. Is that an employment relationship? I looked straight into her eyes. As you wished, I didn't bring you a flower this time. Yin narrowed her apricot eyes. What? I didn't explain, only repeated, I didn't bring you a flower this time. Yin, the flower was just a reward. Since you don't want it, there is none this time, and there won't be any in the future. The implication was that she didn't need to ask me to tutor her anymore. Yin refused to give up. She stared intently at me, trying to find any hint of anger or petulance in my expression. After realizing my expression remained completely calm, she finally sneered. So, in the end, you've only ever cared about the money. So you're saying that money can buy everything from you, Jiang Sui? Well, that's great, because I have plenty of money. You top students are probably not even worth as much as the carefully bred horses in my family's manor. Slap. I used all my strength on that slap. Yin had been pampered by her family since childhood and was a little princess who could have her way in school. When had she ever been slapped twice unilaterally by anyone? She hung her head, her hair messy, her lower lip bitten until it was white. She was clearly on the verge of an explosion. Just as the tension was about to erupt, there were two knock-knock sounds at the study door, and then it was opened from the outside. The old butler, his face covered in cold sweat, walked in with a plate of sliced fruit, stammering, Miss, Jiang student, how about some fruit? I shoved Yin away, picked up my school bag from the floor, and started to walk out. As I left the study, Yin's sharp threat came from behind me. Jiang Sui, if you walk out that door today, don't ever regret it. My steps only paused for a moment, and then I walked out decisively. Walking down the stairs, I heard the crash of overturned tables and chairs from the second floor. Meanwhile, the comments were gushing faster than a runny-nosed backslash. The plot just now was so cliched, but so addictive. Backslash scared to death. Jiang Sui was so brave just now. Those two slaps. Whoosh whoosh. Backslash. OMG, I bet they would kiss today. My millions of prize money are gone. Backslash, damn it. No more class to crash today? I even set an alarm for it. At the villa entrance. Bai Miao was leaning against the doorframe, smiling at me. What's wrong? Argued with Yin. I already told you. You need to put up with her a lot. Her collar was bare. She wasn't wearing the black iris lapel pin that hid the camera. I didn't plan to acknowledge her schadenfreude, but Bai Miao reached out to block me. She suddenly asked, don't you have a pure and obedient childhood friend? Why do you have to provoke others? Fickle boys are going to be punished. At this moment, I finally noticed the unusual tone in her voice, and a suspicion suddenly arose in my mind. I stared at her. The love letter from Li Yuan. You arranged it? You guessed right. Bai Miao clapped softly, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Her expression was thrilled, as if she were playing the most interesting game in the world. I knew that boy liked me. I had someone hint to him that he could give me the love letter through you. It was easy. After all, you're the top student who plays the best with us, aren't you? I was almost angered into laughter. So what's your goal? Just to make Yin hate me? Now, Bai Miao tilted her head, slowly toying with the ruby ring on her hand. I want you to tell me all the stories about you and your childhood friend. For example, did you come to Newest Academy because of her? She was forcing me to prove my identity. My expression remained unchanged. I'm in a bad mood today and don't want to answer. I also ask you to be more understanding. Bai Miao smiled gently again. Okay, but I believe that one day, you'll be kneeling and begging me to tell me the answer. On the campus forum, Bai Miao's livestream screen was black, and everyone had gathered on Yin's livestream backslash. It's great that technology is advanced. I can actually watch its Sundara Little Princess live streaming trashing a house in my lifetime. Backslash, I'll say it boldly, I don't understand why so many people are sucking up to the Yin family princess. My Samiyet is more humane than her. Backslash, AB is fine too. Poor students like Jiang Sui want to reach the top through marriage. The Yin couple won't agree, will they? Backslash, the one before, stop spreading rumors. The master and madam really like the young student Jiang. Everyone was shocked by the extent of Yin's rage, and they were either sighing or mocking me. They guessed that this seduction livestream would soon end completely due to Yan's disgust toward me. At this moment, I had just returned to the dorm. I calmed my mind, spread out my review notes again, and forced myself to continue studying. A new week began. Yan and I continued our Cold War. I was the discipline committee member on duty this week, responsible for organizing the swimming test for the semester. After the test ended, I was about to close the swimming pool door when I suddenly heard a burst of laughter from inside. I hesitated for a moment and reopened the door. Inside the swimming pool, several students were gathered by the pool. They were both male and female, but all were dressed exquisitely and clearly wealthy or noble. In the pool, the round-faced boy was shivering and repeatedly diving into the water, seemingly looking for something. On the shore, the leading boy sneered. "Li Yuan, hurry up and fish it out. This watch of mine is worth several million on the market. If you can't get it, you'll have to pay for it." Because the swimming test had ended, the indoor heated pool's heating system had been stopped. In the ice-cold water, Li Yuan was hugging his arms, his face pale. "Hanzaheo, I'm sorry. I didn't." Hanzaheo interrupted him with a sneer. "I told you to fish it out, so fish it out. Didn't you try everything to get close to Goddess by Meow? If you like being a sycophant so much, then this young master will give you a chance." It was almost an open secret that Hanzaheo liked Bai Meow. It wasn't surprising that he was giving Li Yuan a hard time. Li Yuan had no choice but to dive back into the bone-chilling water, hoping that retrieving the watch would make these people leave him alone. Watching this scene, I clenched my fists. This academy was full of young masters and young ladies that no one could afford to provoke. They could easily determine the future of other students and even teachers. Perhaps at this moment, I should just turn around and leave. After all, Li Yuan had nothing to do with me. I couldn't even protect myself. Shielding him from that love letter was kindness enough. But looking at Li Yuan's face, which was blue from the cold, I was reminded of the scene before my death in the previous life. At that time, my scholarship was canceled and my student card was in debt. A lack of money was the ruin of a hero. No one was willing to lend me money. I could only frequently leave school to work part-time and subsist on 2 steamed buns a day. That day, after barely completing the swimming test, I received a call informing me of my parents' death. I hid in the locker room and cried until I was voiceless for the first time. While weeping, I told myself to persevere, even if fate was cruel. Even if the arrows of hardship rained down enough to blot out the sun, I would continue to fight in the shadows. I would not surrender. I had to live. As I left the swimming pool, I vaguely saw a glimmering coin by the edge of the pool. I turned back to pick it up, but stumbled and fell into the winter pool. Although I was an excellent swimmer, I was hungry, cold, and utterly exhausted at the time. In the last moments before drowning, I still desperately struggled to reach out to the water's surface, craving a glimmer of hope. At this moment, Li Yuan was still repeatedly diving to retrieve the watch. I blankly took out my phone and sent Bai Meow a location. The other side quickly replied "Oh, so you're ready to beg me on your knees?" I ignored it, placed my phone on a nearby chair, and then raised my voice to the group by the pool. "If you want to retrieve something, you can ask the pool manager to drain the water. There's no need to torment someone like this." To drain the water, the person in the water had to get out first. Li Yuan had just climbed out of the pool when Hanzaheo suddenly raised his hand and pointed at me. "Hold him down." Several lackeys immediately swarmed over, twisted my arms behind my back, and shoved me in front of Hanzaheo. I knew I couldn't resist, and all I could do was stall for time, so I didn't make any unnecessary struggle. Hanzaheo grabbed the hair at the back of my head, forcing me to look up. He scrutinized me for a moment, then sneered. "Not that handsome, huh? A poor student, and yet you've angered someone you can't afford to provoke. Where do you get the nerve to stand up for others?" Someone tried to mediate. "No need, no need. Hitting him will just dirty Brother Hao's hands." Hanzaheo agreed wholeheartedly. So, he turned to Li Yuan. "Li Yuan, come over here and slap him twice now. The watch incident will be completely cleared." Li Yuan looked at him in shock, his mouth agape, and unable to react. What? Hearing such a disgusting trick, I narrowed my eyes in disbelief. Hanzaheo, however, became even more excited. He raised the stakes again. "If you can make him cry, make him beg and wail, we will never trouble you at school again." Li Yuan was pushed in front of me. He was shaking violently, even more so than when he was soaking in the ice water. Our eyes met. Then, I heard his voice, tinged with a sob. Jiang Sui. I'm so sorry. Slap. Immediately after, a slap landed on my face. Han Zihao burst into laughter. One more slap, then. Don't try to be clever. Hit him hard. Slap. Another slap. I was hit so hard my head snapped to the side, and my new glasses fell to the ground. Han Zihao turned my face back, his voice regretful. What a shame, he didn't cry. He tilted his head and smiled at Li Yuan. One more chance. Push him into the pool. The reward is the same. Li Yuan looked at me, his eyes full of fear. Han Zihao urged him sharply. Why aren't you moving? Do you still want to go down and fish for the watch? So, I watched the tear-stained Li Yuan take a step forward, raise his hand, and then shove me into the pool. Han Zihao was satisfied and let Li Yuan leave the swimming pool. The swimming pool was meters deep. I had to constantly tread water to keep my mouth and nose above the surface. In the bone-chilling water, I heard Han Zihao issue a command. Since Li Yuan is gone, then you can take his place and fish for the watch. I did not obey, only stared at him with a blank expression. Oh, someone sneered, quite arrogant. They brought chairs and sat by the pool, looking relaxed. You can forget about getting out until you fish up the watch. They were chatting and laughing on the shore, while my body was gradually losing temperature. If this continued, I would definitely be the one to collapse first. I couldn't just sit and wait. So, under everyone's gaze, I closed my eyes and slowly sank into the water. This action was very sudden. Because it was near closing time, only one light was on by the pool. I knew that in such dim lighting, the people on the shore would definitely not be able to accurately pinpoint the location of an object underwater. In the cold water, I heard the laughter on the shore stop abruptly, followed by Han Zihao's cold laugh. I'd like to see how long he can hold his breath. Half a minute passed. Han Zihao was unconcerned. What could happen? He got an A on the swimming test. He's not going to drown, is he? 1 minute passed. Han Zihao stood up and shouted by the pool in a blustering rage. Jiang Sui, I command you to get out. Do you hear me? A minute and a half passed. The people on the shore were completely panicking. Amidst the commotion, I heard someone lower their voice. Putting aside everything else, the live stream hasn't stopped. If those two young ladies aren't done playing yet, won't we be? Han Zihao yelled in despair. This isn't my fault. I just wanted to teach him a lesson. I was lurking underwater, and under the cover of the pool's dim lighting, I slowly moved toward the shore. I was trying to discern the people on the shore through the distorted water ripples, preparing to seize an opportunity to drag a few people down with me to soak in the cold water. Before I could choose, a bang of someone plunging into the water suddenly rang in my ears. A figure slammed into the water, and the churning water stirred up countless tiny bubbles. Before I could fully process it, that figure quickly swam toward me, grabbed my hand, and then pulled me toward the water's surface. Splash! The sound of breaking the water's surface rang out. Yin and I emerged from the water one after the other. As soon as we surfaced, Yin immediately clung to me. Her whole body was pressed against mine as she leaned in to check my breathing. I pushed her hand away and coughed a few times. I'm fine. Water droplets rolled down my face from my hair, like cold tears. You scare me to death. Yin held the hand I had pushed away, her fingers trembling slightly. Your hands are so cold. They have no temperature left. I got goosebumps all over and tried hard to pull my hand back. Before I could free my hand, I heard footsteps approaching from a distance. I looked up and saw the person approaching was actually Bai Miao. She was too late. At the same time, Yin looked up and glared at Han Zihao and the others. Although Yin was completely soaked, she still radiated an intense, commanding aura. Han Zihao and the others cowered and lowered their heads under her gaze. Yin's gaze finally settled on Bai Miao. She spoke coldly. Bai Miao, keep your dog on a leash. After Bai Miao took the others and left the swimming pool, Yin looked back at me. She placed my palm against her cheek, her voice a little sullen. If I hadn't actively looked for you, would you never have looked for me? I pushed Yin. Let go. I need to change. The winter uniform was thick. Once wet, it was cold and stuffy. But she wouldn't let go. Yin's voice, tinged with a nasal sound, sounded a little like a whine. I had a history lesson today. I cursed crazy under my breath, but had to continue listening to her nonsense. She said, the teacher talked about the fall of the Soviet Union after the Eastern European upheaval. So, she said, the Cold War is over. Her grip on my arm tightened subtly. Jiang Sui, the Cold War is over. Let's make up. After changing into dry clothes, I focused on the time, then walked out of the swimming pool. Yin and Bai Miao were both waiting for me at the main entrance. To be honest, I hadn't expected Yin to come. I had just learned that Li Yuan was the one who immediately went to find Yin and begged her to save me. Thinking of Li Yuan's soaking wet, distraught figure as he ran out of the pool, I lowered my eyes, lost in thought. Li Yuan could be coaxed into pushing me into the pool, and he could also desperately seek help from me after escaping. So, I didn't blame him. But if I could forgive Li Yuan, should I also forgive Yin and Bai Miao? Just then, Yin saw me. She walked over, stood on her tiptoes, and wrapped a scarf around my neck. Bai Miao, standing nearby, also asked gently, do you want to go to the school clinic for a checkup? I looked at them, and my eyes suddenly welled up. Yin was momentarily flustered. What is it this time? I looked at them seriously and said softly, thank you. I didn't expect you would really rush to save me. I know I'm a student from the countryside, dull, old-fashioned, and I don't fit in with you. Actually, I've always been afraid that you would mock me, despise me, and look down on me. But why are you so good to me? Hearing this, Yin stood frozen, her expression blank for a moment. I lowered my head and placed a shy, soft kiss on her cheek. After a moment of silence, the comments section immediately exploded backslash. They kissed. I've noted the date, and the exact time is backslash. After following this live stream for half a semester, I actually don't dislike the top student as much anymore. Backslash, he wasn't two-timing, was he? He was just afraid the round-faced boy would be bullied because of the love letter. Backslash, Jiang Sui is actually a pretty good person. When he enrolled in the first year, he even brought local specialties for his classmates. But everyone turned their noses up and wouldn't eat them, so he never brought them again. Backslash, I wonder what the principal's daughter and the school beauty are feeling right now. Do they regret making a bet with Jiang Sui? Backslash, honestly, doesn't anyone think this seduction livestream and that prize pool are really too much? At this moment, the scale of public opinion finally and completely tipped in my favor. Yin was stunned for a long time before she blushed and pounced into my arms. She said awkwardly, you're a good person anyway. No one will be mean to you. And why are you so sappy? You're so annoying. I buried my face in Yin's hair, feigning embarrassment, but the corners of my mouth curved up in an uncontrollable smile. I finally got to this scene. Forgiveness? Gratitude? It was all a pretense. The only high ground an unfledged victim can occupy is the moral high ground. They approached me with malice, wanting to lure me into revealing my ugliness, then break my pride and stain me with mud. So I would force them to witness my soul that was clear and utterly transparent. I would make everyone see. Their full malice was met with my flawless sincerity. Then, when the truth was revealed, who would be the one to lose face? And who would become the biggest joke? I could hardly wait. The school clinic. I finished the ginger tea and laid down on the bed, pretending to nap. Just as I was about to fall asleep, I heard 2 sets of footsteps outside the curtain of the sick bed. Someone cautiously pulled back the curtain. I heard Yin whispering, Shoo, he's asleep. Bai Miao softly replied, Someone's palm covered my forehead. Seeing that I didn't have a fever, both of them retreated outside the curtain. I felt a little awkward pretending to sleep and was about to pretend to wake up slowly when I suddenly heard Yin say quietly, Bai Miao, I don't want to continue that bet. I've stopped the live stream on the forum, and I've frozen the tip pool for now. Here's the miniature live stream camera back. Bai Miao was silent for a moment. Did you fall for him? Yin admitted frankly, yes. The newest school anniversary ball is after the final exam. I'm going to confess to Jiang Sui at the ball. Bai Miao's voice trembled imperceptibly. What if he doesn't accept? Yin was unconcerned, her tone confident. Jiang Sui already kissed me. I'm so beautiful, my family background is top-notch, and besides, I'll be very good to him. Bai Miao interrupted her. But what if Jiang Sui already has someone in his heart? Hearing that, Yin Yan's voice suddenly turned cold. By Miao, I know you were investigating Jiang Sui's past. Whatever you've dug up, this matter ends now. Bury what shouldn't be said. In exchange, the project in West City, the Bai family can start preparing for it. After finishing the last subject of the final exam, I walked out of the examination room. Yin Yan was waiting for me in the hallway. Seeing me come out, she hurriedly stuffed the heavily edited draft of a speech into her pocket, then greeted me with a smile. Before I could speak, the girl rattled off. I did everything in math that I knew how to do. For the hard-to-do problems, I wrote the word solution and copied the problem again. I can definitely pass. Yin Yan's eyes sparkled. You said before that if I passed math in the final exam, you would grant me one wish. Does that still count? Seeing me nod, she giggled. Then I want you to come back to the villa with me. I finally managed to get my dad's style consultant here today. You're getting a bargain. In the afternoon, Yin Yan handed me over to the style consultant, but she herself ran away blushing, saying she wanted to keep the suspense for the evening ball. Makeup, changing clothes. I was fussed over for an entire afternoon, and then the old butler drove me to the entrance of the hall where the ball was being held. Tonight, the first snow happened to fall. As I got out of the car in a high-end suit, the clock tower bell of the hall rang. 7 o'clock in the evening, the ball began. Everything was just right, as if destined. I didn't pay attention to the astonished looks around me, only walked up the steps toward the hall. At the solemn, classical entrance of the hall, I saw Bai Miao in an ink-black evening gown. She was holding a glass of champagne in one hand and smiling at me. You look very different tonight. I said, thank you. Bai Miao seemed to have drunk a lot. Her breathing was slightly rapid, and her cheeks were flushed. She gazed at me and spoke abruptly. I'm sorry. I was stunned, my expression confused. Why are you apologizing? Bai Miao said softly. For everything. I stared at Bai Miao for a long time until she awkwardly averted her gaze, and then I chuckled softly. I said, Bai Miao, you have nothing to apologize for. That time at the pool, I sent you the location, and you rushed there immediately, didn't you? As for the things you said to me before, I know you just wanted to scare me and get an answer from me. Bai Miao shook her head sadly. That answer is meaningless now. Go in. She has a surprise waiting for you. She stepped aside, letting me walk into the hall. As I brushed past her, I secretly pinched myself hard twice, and my cheeks immediately flushed slightly. I smiled shyly and whispered to Bai Miao. You asked me if I came to Newest Academy because of that person. I want to tell you, at least I did. There are few truths in this world, but a boy's blush is worth a lengthy confession. After speaking, I walked away without hesitation. Behind me, someone whispered in surprise, Did Goddess Bai Miao just drop her champagne? As I walked into the hall, the lights slowly dimmed. Amidst everyone's gasps, the lights came on the stage of the hall. Yin Yan appeared on stage in a pearl-white, high-end, floor-length gown, with a shimmering rose brooch pinned to her chest. Her bangs were solemnly combed back, making her look dignified and regal. Yin Yan took the standing microphone, her voice gentle. Recently, I often dream of a person, him diligently studying, him acting as a hero, and even him frowning in annoyance while I'm playing with him during tutoring. Everything about him deeply attracts me and makes my heart flutter uncontrollably for him. The passionate love in her words made the audience stir, and some people even covered their mouths, moved. At the same time, several spotlights shone on me. Separated by the crowd, Yin Yan gazed at me. The language of the Freud rose is, you wander carelessly through my dreams, turning my heart into a fragrant, luxuriant garden. You've lingered in my dreams for too long. Now, can I invite you to come to me? Jiang Sui, I like you. Will you be my boyfriend? Meanwhile, rose petals fluttered down from the ceiling, weaving a beautiful, mirage-like dream. The envious or encouraging eyes of my classmates urged me to hurry up and accept her. Under the spotlight, I blinked and opened my mouth, a little nervous. Scratch. Before I could finish my sentence, a piercing static sound suddenly echoed through the entire hall. At the same time, the giant screens on the four walls of the ball hall began to flicker, showing a playback. The first scene. On the staircase landing. Yin Yan looked at my retreating back, her small face wrinkled, and she coldly snorted in frustration. If this country bumpkin won't agree to tutoring, how am I supposed to get him? I'll go sabotage his part-time job, and then we'll see if he still dares to refuse me. The screen switched. The second scene. Yin was toying with a Freud rose, her tone excited and frivolous. He gave me a flower. Wow. Just you wait. I'll have him in 3 days. The screen switched again. The third scene. Jiang Sui, if you walk out that door today, don't ever regret it. The screen was shaking violently, clearly filmed by someone smashing things in a fit of rage. Who does he think he is, daring to pull a face at me? He's a fickle, inferior piece of goods. If I don't get him and win the bet, and then wear him out, my last name isn't Ian. Fast flashing images, words full of malice, unbearable comments. Under everyone's gaze, my face gradually turned pale. And on the stage, Yin, after a moment of stunned silence, started to scream in a sharp, angry voice. Turn it off. Turn it off, I said. But all her rage instantly crumbled when she saw the self-mocking smile on my face. Yin's expression went blank for a moment. Then she strode quickly toward me. Jiang Sui, it's not what you think. I can explain. I took half a step back. Don't come closer. One action said it all. At the same time, Bai Miao walked out from the crowd and stood in front of me. She held up her skirt, her whole demeanor elegant and graceful. Yin, he told you not to come closer. Yin looked at her, her expression turning somber bit by bit. It was you? You were the one who made these live stream recordings appear, weren't you? Bai Miao didn't answer, only emphasized again. Yin, he rejected you. This time, Yin's response was a slap. Amidst everyone's gasps, Yin threw Bai Miao to the ground. We've been friends for so many years. You knew how much I liked him. Bai Miao covered her swollen face and lay sprawling on the carpet, but a smile played on her lips. But you also know that if I tell that thing. Yin violently pulled Bai Miao's hair. Shut up. Her tone was icy, her expression vicious. Bai Miao, your family has so many illegitimate children. If the Bai family and I fall out, you'll be kicked off the Bai family successors list immediately. While they were fighting like cats and dogs, the video on the 4 big screens continued to play. The screen changed to a voting collection interface. The background audio was Yin's excited voice from back then. Meow meow, let's start a live stream prize pool. All the tips from the seduction live stream will go into this pool. Everyone can bet. Let's bet on when that country bumpkin will give his first kiss. At the same time, a huge accumulated prize pool amount appeared on the screen, \million. The names of everyone who participated in this live stream betting pool flashed across, like a grand public execution. The hall was silent, almost to the point where a pin dropping could be heard. At this moment, Bai Miao's smile finally froze. She mumbled, that part wasn't me. The screen showed the betting time of the final winner, \. A wave of suppressed whispering went through the crowd. Someone let out a long sigh of relief. That was embarrassing. Good thing I didn't bet back then. Someone else was in disbelief. This is a little creepy. The time is exact, down to the second. Whose vote is this? At the same time, the final suspense was revealed, and the winner's name appeared on the screen, \Jiang Sui. My name. Countless eyes turned toward me, and I stood under the spotlight, finally showing a genuine smile. Yin and Bai Miao's faces were ashen. They looked at me in disbelief. Jiang Sui? I smiled and gently nodded at them. A bet's a bet. Remember to transfer the winnings to my bank account. With that, I turned around and walked out of the hall without any regret. In the dorm, I curled up in the warm, comfortable quilt, looked at the message confirming the $1,000,000 deposit, and felt a sense of peace for the first time since being reborn. Outside the window, there was not only the sound of falling snow, but also the faint fragrance of roses. I knew that right now, Yin was sitting in a convertible sports car filled with Freud roses beneath the dorm building, waiting anxiously for my appearance. She had cried herself hoarse, going from apologizing to repenting, even swearing that she would never do it again. I pulled up the number I had just blocked and sent 2 words / too noisy. A few seconds later, the world finally fell silent. At 2 in the morning, the snow was falling harder. I couldn't sleep, so I decided to review my schoolwork. But then I suddenly saw a brilliant firework explode outside the window. Yin stopped shouting and instead stubbornly, continuously, set off one firework after another. I drew the curtains, put on my earplugs, turned off the light, and went to sleep. I didn't know how long I slept, but I was suddenly awakened by a violent knocking on the door. I took off my earplugs and immediately heard a commotion downstairs. A girl has fainted. Ambulance. Call an ambulance. In the private hospital room, Bai Miao and I sat next to Yin Yan's bed. Looking at the unconscious Yin Yan on the bed, Bai Miao suddenly spoke. Jiang Sui, I've thought about this for a long time. Even if I lose my status as the Bai family successor, I still want to tell you. I interrupted her confession without mercy. You are both very strange. Looking at the beautiful girl in front of me, I asked the question that had been lingering in my mind. You haven't even learned the simplest thing called respect. Why can you still stand in front of me so self-righteously and pretend to be so deeply in love with me? Bai Miao's face instantly turned colorless. The air was silent for a long time. I was about to get up to pour a glass of water when someone suddenly tugged at my cuff. I turned my head and saw that Yin Yan, though still with her eyes closed on the hospital bed, had slightly red eyelids. She was awake. She stubbornly held onto my sleeve and whispered, "Don't go, okay?" I gently pulled her hand away, tucked it back into the blanket, and said blandly, "Trying to seek someone else's forgiveness by harming yourself is really stupid." Just then, the hospital room door was pushed open from the outside. The old butler walked in with an elegantly dressed middle-aged couple, Yin Yan's parents. Yin's father looked at the distraught Yin Yan in the bed and was so angry he was trembling. "Rebellious daughter, look at how worthless you look. Are you trying to scare your mother and me to death?" Yin's mother at least managed to control the anxiety on her face. She affectionately stroked Yin Yan's hair, then turned to me. "You must be Jiang Sui? Would you be willing to talk with me?" Seeing me nod, Yin Yan struggled to sit up from the hospital bed. Her eyes were bloodshot, and she trembled as she grabbed her mother's hand. "Mom, please help me persuade him. I've never liked a boy this much. Mom, please." The hospital VIP room. Yin's mother elegantly handed me a cup of tea. She said, "Jiang Sui, my husband and I already know everything. The live stream incident was too outrageous of our little Yin. The Yin Corporation will take responsibility for your damaged reputation. As compensation, Yin's mother gave me two choices." She sipped her tea, looking at me gently. "Many people say that true romantics are only born into wealthy families. Although this is somewhat biased, it's not entirely without reason. Little Yin has been very protected since she was young. She may be spoiled and mischievous, but her nature isn't bad." Yin's mother observed my expression and chose her words carefully. "The first choice. The Yin Corporation will send you both abroad to study together. You won't have to worry about the cost. After graduation, if you are both willing, you can get married." I have to say, Yin's mother was very clever. With Yin Yan's personality, forcing us apart would only make her even more stubborn due to rebellion. So, she wanted me to stay by Yin Yan's side and work on me slowly. For this, she even offered what she considered an extremely tempting condition: crossing the class barrier through marriage. I was deeply touched, and then I quickly asked, "What is the second choice?" Yin's mother was startled. "Don't you like little Yin?" Hearing this question, I lowered my eyes. After a long pause, I finally replied softly, "Maybe, but I will never be with someone who has deceived me." Yin's mother was silent for a moment, then gently patted my head like a kind elder. "Jiang Sui, you are very clever. Take an auntie's advice, stay with little Yin. Even if you leave now, this hunt will not end. Once naive youths feel obsession, they will madly pursue you for the rest of their lives." Her gaze was profound. We can't control our children forever. Years later, when they are fully grown and have absolute authority, when they find you then, are you sure you can handle the backlash? I put down the cold tea in my hand and looked at Yin's mother calmly. "Auntie, you forgot one thing. Years later, when they find me, I won't be the person I am now either. I will become strong, stronger than all of them." In the end, Yin's mother agreed to cover the penalty for my transfer and used her connections to secretly move me and my family to a small city in the south. Before I left, she adjusted my coat. "Good child, I promise you, no one will find you before your birthday." The snow was still falling when I left the hospital. I didn't linger for the warmth behind me, but walked calmly into the howling, snowy night. Between heaven and earth, there was only the wind and the moving snow covering my head. I didn't know how long I walked, only that the wind and snow gradually subsided. When I looked up again, I saw the sunrise in the east, shining with dazzling light.